Coming up, Leo's got the iPad Pro, Megan's got the Microsoft Band 2, and Myriam has a phone that you can't buy. You gotta watch before you buy.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Before You Buy is brought to you by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Before You Buy is brought to you by Automatic, the connected car company that improves your driving and integrates your car into your digital life. For more information, visit automatic.com/twit and enter the code TWIT to get 20% off your purchase. And by the Ring Video Doorbell. With Ring, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. It's like caller ID for your home. Right now, get free FedEx shipping when you go to ring.com/beforeyoubuy. Hey, and welcome to Before You Buy. It's Twit's product review show where we take the latest and greatest gadgets and gizmos and we give them out to the people who can give you the most honest reviews possible. I'm Father Robert Ballecer, the digital Jesuit, and we're starting off with something that everyone wants to see, the iPad Pro, that monstrous tablet from Apple that has the world kind of polarized. Is it a huge piece of trash, or is it the next level of iPad goodness? I don't know, but we asked Leo Laporte, and this is what he found.
This is an iPad mini. You've seen it before. This is the new Mini 4. This is the iPad Air. And this, get ready, is the iPad Pro. It's bigger than the Air. It's bigger than the Mini. It is the biggest iPad Apple's ever made, a 12.9-inch behemoth, giant iPad with a very high-resolution screen, 2732 by 2048. That's 264 pixels per inch. Compare this with the Surface Pro, Surface Book from Microsoft. It's about the same screen size, but the Surface Book is 3000 by 2000. So the resolutions are a little bit different. This is 4 by 3. That's 3 by 2. Apple's really trying to sell this as a laptop replacement. I'll tell you one thing. It's very apparently a ginormous iPad. The model we're looking at is the one you probably want to get. There are only two different configurations, 32 gigabytes and 128 gigabytes. 32 is probably for corporate users who don't need to put software on here. You're going to want to get 128 gigabytes. Just coming in under $1,000 if you want to add LTE. That'll be another $129 as usual. This is a very expensive device. Also a little disappointing because Apple doesn't sell the Pencil yet. That won't be out till December 7th. So if one of the things that excites you about the iPad Pro is using it for drawing, sketching, 3D CAD, you're going to have to wait about a month. For apps that aren't specifically designed for the giant screen, you just get a giant version of the app. This is Yahoo Weather. And everything's just bigger. I mean, really big. It probably doesn't need to be that big for an app like this. Apps like Google's Inbox aren't designed for it, but will at least take advantage of the fact that you can get more text on the screen. And, of course, Apple offers its own productivity apps and has updated programs like Pages to work with the iPad Pro. The thing that you'll notice immediately is it is a gorgeous high-resolution screen, really beautiful color. I think they've done a nice job of making gorgeous hardware that's very thin. You can't call it lightweight because it's big and there's a lot of glass on here. It is fairly snappy, and Apple has done some things with iOS 9 to give you a capability to run multiple applications. I'm still having a little difficulty. One thing that getting the let me open a few things at once, and maybe that'll help. One thing that hello, there we go. So you can have multiple windows on it. Because the screen is so big, you can in fact have two kind of in effect full pages side by side. It's not a it's a tiled windowing interface, not an overlapping window interface. So I think this is going to take some getting used to. It's certainly not the equivalent of a desktop operating system like OS 10 or Windows. It's iOS and iOS 9 specifically. There are a couple of keyboard choices. Apple's own keyboard is available. I didn't get that because I thought at $169 it was a little pricey. Apple is also selling a new keyboard from Logitech called the Create. And what's interesting about this is this keyboard isn't a Bluetooth keyboard. Of course, because this is a Bluetooth device, by the way, very difficult getting this into the case right. Well, you get the idea. It has the same pins on the keyboard as on the bottom of the Apple keyboard case. So the keyboard doesn't have any batteries. It's powered by the iPad, backlit. And unlike the Apple keyboard, $20 less, and it has dedicated buttons for iOS. It's got a home button. It's got a keyboard button. It's got a lock button and a few other specialized commands like go to home screen, search, and switch app that are dedicated to the iPad. So if you're going to choose a keyboard, if you want a keyboard and you want a case too, this is, I guess, a pretty good combination. Although compare that with Apple's MacBook or even a MacBook Air, and you'll say it's thicker, it's heavier, it's more ungainly, and frankly, I don't think it's as functional. So there's some question about whether Apple's desire to sell this as a laptop replacement will make sense for anybody, but people who are using specifically apps that are designed to work with the pencil or designed to work with a giant touch screen. A good example might be GarageBand, which really does give you much more capability on a screen of this size to handle larger compositions and so forth. Let's open it up here and you can see. Man, that's a big screen. So, you know, I guess this makes sense. If you have a lot of tracks, it would make sense. Let's, you know, I mean, that's kind of cool, right? It's a different experience. Let's put it that way. You can see I'm a really great musician. It's got the fingerprint reader, but it doesn't have 3D touch, so you can press as hard as you want. Nothing's going to happen. That's because in order to do the digitizer for the pencil, they had to eliminate the 3D touch capability. I think until the pencil comes out, it's really hard to evaluate whether this is something totally new and exciting or just a iPad on steroids. The speakers are interesting. There's 4 of them. Sound quality is very good. It only uses 2 at a time, but the reason there's 4 is so that you can rotate it, and the music will continue to be left-right stereo even while you're rotating it. I feel like this is an interesting product. Probably not something I'd run out and get. I'll have a more thorough review for you in weeks to come. I'm sure it'll be great for some games. This is going to be the ultimate goat simulator game platform. Any game that's touch-focused will be fantastic on this. If you're a Hearthstone fanatic, and I know a lot of you are, I think this is going to be kind of an amazing way to play Hearthstone. And with the music quality coming out of the speakers, the amazing screen,
Welcome to the end, friend.
I think you might have a great experience. Is it worth $1,000? Well, that's going to be up to you. I'll give you a full review in weeks to come. But my initial reaction is it's probably worth waiting at least until the pencil is available and until software that's designed specifically to take advantage of the iPad Pro starts to emerge. There are some apps already, like Paper from 53, but for right now, a lot of apps just look giant and blown up. That's the new iPad Pro. Pretty amazing new product from Apple. By the way, battery life is absolutely 10 hours. I charged this up 2 hours ago, and it's still at 100%. So even though I've been playing with it quite a bit. So I think this is going to get a pretty decent battery life. Certainly something to keep your eye on. Probably not something you're going to want to run out and spend $1,000 on right now. Back to you, Robert.
That's a first look from Uncle Leo at the iPad Pro. It is big, and actually Megan Morrone really likes it. She likes using it as a semi-laptop with a keyboard. A lot of people have said that they want to wait for the pencil because the pencil is kind of the defining feature for such a large tablet. I do want to bring on a member of the Twit family. This is Greg, also known as Greg Burnett. He is the brother of Cranky Hippo. You've been able to do some fantastic art. In fact, if you put it down here, this was completely without pencil. Show us, scroll through some of your artwork here. And I think you did this today. We would just ask you to draw a few things and get some art down. So obviously, you kind of like the format. Would this be better with a pencil? I think that the question. Yeah, you want a pencil. Yeah, I think a lot of people are saying that for a format this large, it really shines as a creative device, as an art device. And if you're going to have it as an art device, you want more than just your finger. Although, I got to say, Greg, you did pretty dang good with your finger. This is nice.
I mean, it took some practice. I was using paper.
Yeah. Oh, what was the app that you were using again? Paper. So if you want to play with your iPad Pro, go ahead and download Paper, and maybe you can get elite skills like our very own Greg, who's having issues with rotation. Go figure. Coming up, we decided we wanted to get out of the studio. We like it here in Petaluma, but every once in a while, we want to head to the great outdoors. We took a small team over to San Francisco that included myself, Cranky Hippo, Carly, and of course, my super producer, Karsten Bondi. And we stopped by the TP-Link booth to find out what they have for the Christmas season. Let's go ahead and take a look. Here at the Holiday Spectacular, we like to stay connected, and that means we're going to need some networking equipment of some quality, which is why we stopped by TP-Link. I'm here with Krista, who's going to explain what TP-Link has to offer those who want to build out their wireless network. Krista, this is the OnHub, right? I mean, this is what we saw from
TP-Link Google OnHub. So it's perfect for people that want to set up really easily, get started, have no troubles. It's really reliable, and it can stream Wi-Fi throughout your entire home.
The whole idea of a device like this was to make networking simple because even though I will say that it's been becoming easier to set up your network over the years, there still isn't that one device that you could give to someone with absolutely no networking skill whatsoever and say, turn it on and get working.
This is it. This is the one. You can pick it up for $199 at a number of different retailers.
Oh, this is nice, but the device that drew me over to your table is this spider-looking monster here is actually an incredibly sophisticated device. It's a tri-band, so you've got a 2.4 gigahertz radio plus two 5 gigahertz radios in here to give you much more flexibility in how you set up your network. What is this?
So this is the Archer C3200, and like you said, it can stream a number of different devices. So when you have all your phones, your smartphones, your laptops, your iPads, and those are all streaming internet at the same time, this is the perfect Wi-Fi router for someone that uses a lot of those different devices.
One of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that when you're using a particular frequency for a particular device, it's really dedicating its connection to that. Now, it can share that time with other devices, but in order to get maximum throughput, you really have to have multiple radios on the spectrum that you want to communicate. In this case, the 5 gigahertz spectrum. When will we have this available? I know that the OnHub, you can get it right now, but when will I be able to get the Archer C3800?
It's available now. You can totally get it at a number of different retailers, Best Buy, Amazon, and then TP-Link Store, TP-LinkStore.com.
And if they wanted to find out more about the Archer and where to pick it up, where can they go online to perhaps read up on the specs?
Learn about all of our stuff at TP-Link.com.
Krista, thank you very much for speaking with us. Thank you for showing off these cool tools for the holiday. I'm Father Robert Ballecer. This is TP-Link. Go get yourself some, well, Wi-Fi goodness. I have been very impressed with the improvement of TP-Link gear over the years. I remember they were always kind of an off-brand. They were an OEM just starting to come into the market. Some of their gear was good, but was a little generic. Over the years, I've really seen some standout features, and more than that, I've seen dependability. So I'm hoping that TP-Link will send us some gear that we can show off both here on Before You Buy and on the new screensavers and all around the Twit TV network because, well, we all need good gear. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the Microsoft band. You may remember we did a first look not too long ago. Our very own Megan Morrone got one that she wanted to try out with her iOS devices. Well, she's going to tell us whether or not it measures up to the smart wearables devices category. But before we do that, let's go ahead and thank the first sponsor of this episode of Before You Buy, and it's Automatic. Now, this little device, this is kind of magic. Imagine a device that could not just tell you how you were driving, but could help you improve the way that you're driving. I've said this a lot. Anytime you get data back from your car, input back from your driving, you start to gain efficiency. You start to drive better. It's much like the Prius effect. That little screen gamifies driving. It makes you want to get better fuel efficiency. It makes you want to be better on the way that you drive. It makes you, well, want to log your travels. That's what Automatic is all about. Now, if you've got a car that was built anytime in the last 20 years, you've got an onboard data connector, and that's what the Automatic plugs into. It reads all the data from your car's computer system, from the controller area network, and then it allows you to manipulate that data on your phone and ultimately back on your desktop. Now, chances are your car hasn't kept up fully with technology, but with Automatic, you could give it that boot into the next century. It's that small adapter that will turn any car into a connected car. It keeps track of your fuel mileage and your vehicle health. It will let you expense business trips with a tap, and it links your car to the connected devices that power your life. What does that pesky check engine light really mean? Well, you don't have to look through a manual anymore. There's no deciphering of weird codes. This will actually just tell you, look, your gas cap is open, or look, your air filter is clogged, or hey, you need to get your oil changed. Now, it will work on nearly every car made after 1996. It takes minutes to install and connects to your iPhone or Android device over Bluetooth. It gives you real-time performance data, and it uses intelligent coaching to maximize your fuel economy and reduce wear and tear. A dashboard web app provides granular information and lets you export trips. So if you want to drill down and see, well, I did this trip between San Francisco and Los Angeles, but there was 45 minutes there where I was doing a lot of climbing. I want to see if I could have done anything better to maximize my fuel efficiency. That's that granular detail that you get with the Automatic. It works with IFTTT for even more possibilities. In fact, Leo had his car set up for a while so that it would tell us when he was pulling up to the brick house. It's really the limit of your imagination when you get Automatic. Now, there are no monthly support fees or subscription required. It supports Apple Watch and Pebble, and Automatic will never, ever, ever sell your data. How about that? If you are one of these people who worry about your personal data leaking out, and I got to tell you, your driving details are some of the most personal information you might have these days, Automatic's not going to sell you for a quick buck. They understand that their trust is their bond. So here's what we want you to do. We want you to try Automatic. Bring your car into the next century. Automatic is normally $99.95, but when you use our special offer code TWIT, you save 20%. That's right, 20%. Just go to automatic.com/twit. That's automatic.com/twit for more information and to purchase. And use offer code TWIT to save 20% off your regular purchase price. Again, automatic.com/twit. And we thank them for their support of Before You Buy. Oh, look at that, a little bit of magic. Huh. We actually reviewed this a while back. I've been wanting to get one of these in my car for the longest time, and well, let me just say that my driving has much to be desired. So sad. Well, let's move away from sad things and instead talk about happy things. Microsoft released their new band, the Band 2, and a lot of the early adherents thought that this was a great step forward. The construction was a little bit better, the quality seemed to be a bit higher, and it was promising more data points than the previous version. Well, our very own Megan Morrone got an early copy of the Microsoft Band, and this is what she can report.
I'm Megan Morrone, and I host iOS Today, i5 for the iPhone, and Tech News Tonight, and I am going to review Microsoft's new Band 2, specifically how it works when you pair it with an iPhone. First, I should tell you that I am devoted to my Apple Watch. I have worn it every day since the day I got it back in April, but I will try to offer you a review as if you didn't already own an Apple Watch. Let's start with an overview of the Band 2. The focus of the device is fitness. It features a continuous heart rate monitor that can track calorie burn, your sleep length and quality, and you can also track runs, bike rides, golf, and other sports. The Band 2 delivers alerts for email, text messages, calendar, phone calls, and some other app alerts. The haptic feedback is similar to the notifications on the Apple Watch. A little tap to the wrist, a gentle reminder that's much less jarring or distracting to others than a loud sound alert. There are 11 different sensors on the Microsoft Band 2. A GPS will track your runs and your bike rides without having to bring your phone along with you. A barometer tracks elevation, and if you turn on the UV monitor, the Band 2 will let you know when you've been out in the sun too long, and it will even remind you to put on your sunscreen. All of these sensors make the Band 2 an excellent overall health tracker. You can also add your Starbucks card to the Band so you can pay for your next Frappuccino straight from your wrist. That is really the only thing not healthy about this fitness wearable. The Band 2 is a decent smartwatch. The default setting is configured so that you have to press the main button to see the time. That's designed to help the Band 2 live up to its promise of a 48-hour battery life. But once someone was kind enough to point this out to me, I realized that the Band 2 also includes an activate on wrist raise feature like the Apple Watch. The Band 2 even offers an always-on setting that the Apple Watch does not include. That's a nice feature for someone who has always worn a watch and doesn't like having to wait for it to turn on just to see the time. The OLED display is full color and the curved design is nicer than the first generation Band, but not quite as nice looking or as comfortable as the Apple Watch. It's easier to see the screen if you wear the Band on the inside of your wrist, but I don't think that's the best look. The Band 2 comes in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large. This is the small. You can pair the Band 2 with an iPhone, an Android phone, and of course a Windows phone. Pairing with a Windows phone will give you the most features, including the ability to reply to text messages with voice commands or a tiny on-screen keyboard. You can also use Microsoft's digital assistant Cortana with the Band 2 and a Windows phone to take notes and set reminders. But you cannot do that with an iPhone. Here's how the Band works. There are 2 buttons, the main power button and an activity button. The main power button turns the watch on. The activity button lets you start an activity like a run, sleep tracking, a timer, or stopwatch, or any of the other activities. One note about sleep tracking, the Band 2 will automatically track your sleep without using the sleep tile or starting sleep. But if you don't use the sleep tile, notifications will still come on in the watch in the night, and that will surely disrupt your sleep. To dig into the data that your Band collects, get the free Microsoft Health app. To sign in, you'll need a Microsoft account, which is free, and which you already have if you've ever had a Windows PC or used OneDrive or Hotmail or Outlook.com. So let's assume that you're trying to decide between the Microsoft Band 2 and the Apple Watch for you or for a loved one. Here are 3 reasons you might want to choose the Band 2 over the Apple Watch. 1, you want a wearable specifically designed to help you improve your health. The Band 2 lets you run, walk, or ride your bike without your phone using the onboard GPS. You can also measure your steps and your elevation. You can add additional guided workouts, and the Band estimates your VO2 max. That's the measure of your body's maximum capacity to use oxygen, which is a number that any serious athlete needs to know. There's also a special tile just for golfers. So if you're a golfer and you don't already have a wearable for golf, this could be the one for you. 2, the Band 2 is a good choice if you want to save $100. The basic Apple Watch is $349, but the new Band is only $249. 3, the Band 2 is a better wearable for anyone with a Windows phone, especially if you have no intention of switching to an iPhone anytime soon. There's a lot you can do with the Band 2 and your Windows phone that you'll never be able to do with an iPhone and the Band 2 or with an Apple Watch and a Windows phone. And here are 3 reasons you should buy the Apple Watch instead of the Band 2. 1, if you're going to wear your new wearable all the time, even when you dress up. The style of the Band 2 is improved over the first version, but it still looks like a fitness band and not something that you'd probably ever wear for a special occasion. If you want a fitness tracker that you can turn into a fashionable watch by switching out the band, then you will probably want an Apple Watch. 2, you're complicated. I use the modular watch face that gives me 6 complications on the Apple Watch. I can see the time, the weather, the date, battery level, activity, and set a timer all right from the Apple Watch face. You can customize the Band 2, but you don't have nearly as many options. And 3, if you have an iPhone and you want to be able to respond to messages and make phone calls from your watch or take notes and reminders, you'll want an Apple Watch. Right now, when you pair your iPhone to the Microsoft Band, you can track fitness and see notifications, but you can't act on any of them. The Apple Watch lets you make calls, respond to text messages with smart replies, or with your voice. If your partner or another close family member has an Apple Watch, you can draw pictures to each other or send each other your heartbeat if you're into that sort of thing. Here are some more basic pros and cons. The pros, the Band 2 is a very good fitness tracker at a reasonable price for all the sensors it includes. It's pretty waterproof. It meets the IPX7 standard, which means you should be able to immerse it in water for 30 minutes at a depth of 1 meter with no ill effects. Now, if you use it right, the Band 2 battery life will last throughout the day and into the night to track your sleep. There's even a smart alarm that uses your sleep patterns to pick the exact time for you to wake up. The Microsoft Health app is easy to use. You can dig into a lot of data that can be really useful for improving your health. Here are the cons. There are a lot of tiles to choose from for the band, but you only have room for 13 at a time. Yes, I have managed to overload my Apple Watch with dozens of useless apps, but I like having the choice to add as many as I want. You never know when you're going to need to check your stocks, control your music, add to your grocery list, and figure out the weather in Japan all at the same time. I like options. I like the recognition I get from the Apple Watch. Mock me if you like, but I enjoy being reminded to stand up and being awarded when I've reached certain goals. If you dig through the Microsoft Health app, you can see that your band recorded that you walked the equivalent of the diameter of the Tesla crater on the moon, but the Band 2 is not going to go out of its way to tell you that. Another con is the cost. I know earlier I said it was a good fitness wearable at a good cost considering the amount of sensors it has, but you can now buy the original Band for $100, and from talking to people who have it, I'm not convinced that the Band 2 is worth the additional $150. And finally, beyond running, biking, and golf, the Band 2 isn't great at tracking fitness if you do other sports like yoga or weightlifting or dancing or horseback riding. I have the same complaint for the Apple Watch. So overall, I give the Band 2 a try, which is essentially a buy with the following ifs. If you use a Windows phone, if you're serious about improving your fitness, and if you're looking for a sleep tracker and you don't plan on wearing it all the time, even when you go out and get dressed up fancy. I am Megan Morrone. That's my review of the Microsoft Band 2. Back to you, Padre.
It's a try for Megan Morrone for the Microsoft Band 2. I think one of the most insightful remarks that she had was that it's $100 less than an Apple Watch, but then the Band 1, which goes for $100, is $150 less than the Band 2. Now, if you go to the side shot here, we've got both the Band 1 and the Band 2. They're nice, and the Band 2 definitely does improve on both the design elements and the style and some of the functionality. But the question is it $150 better? I don't know, but Megan Morrone says you should give it a try if you are a Windows Phone user. Now, I should say that we've given it to our super Windows fan in the studio, Mr. What's his name again, Brian?
That's Alex Gimple.
Gimple, right? Gimpy?
Alex Gimpy.
We've given it to Alex Gimpy, and he's going to tell us whether or not this makes sense for all the Windows users out there. Now, coming up next, we've asked Myriam Joire if she could take a look at an exclusive phone. It's, we're used to having phones here on Before You Buy, and we're used to having Myriam take a look at phones for us. But this one's different because this is a phone that you can't buy. Here we have the HTC One M9 Plus.
Hi, and welcome to Before You Buy. This is Myriam with the HTC One M9 Plus. So this is a bit of an oddball because you can't get it in the US, but you can import it. Let's rewind a little bit and go back to Mobile Congress 2015. HTC launched the M9, an evolution of the M8 design language. And one of the things that they did was put a new camera in, 20 megapixel, that was not that great, really. And then they had a 1080p display. They didn't really bump the specs on the display much from the M8. And then, of course, they went with a Snapdragon 810. The first generation in 810 had some issues overheating. The M9's critical reception was a little subdued because of all of that. So they decided that in some markets, they needed something to kind of like bump things up a notch, crank things up a notch. And you see it here, the HTC M9 Plus. What you notice right away is the screen is a little bigger, 5.2 inches, and it is Quad HD. And you'll notice that in addition to the speaker here at the bottom, you have a fingerprint reader, and let me show you how that works. So you just put your finger on here and it just unlocks like that. The fingerprint reader, this is a first gen reader. It's a little finicky. It works well with, as you can see, my left thumb, but my right thumb is problematic. But it's working every time now. Usually I have problems with my right thumb on the first gen sensor. It looks very much like an HTC One M9, but with a bigger higher def screen. And then the 20 megapixel camera is the same. And it, as you can see on top, is the return of the dual camera. The dual camera we found on the HTC M8, last year's flagship. And it was a secondary 2 megapixel camera that saves some depth information and lets you do things like refocusing after the fact. And the button is basically very gimmicky, but it is a signature part of the HTC story. So they put it back. So think of this, and it is appropriately named the M9 Plus as the plus version of the M9. What is different though is the innards. This has a MediaTek Helio X10 processor. It's an 8-core processor, but here's what's interesting. It performs the same in terms of everyday use. It feels just as snappy as a state-of-the-art Snapdragon 800. It might be a little better, worse for games and heavy-duty lifting, but I didn't really notice any difference. Holding both the M9 and M9 Plus side by side felt just the same to me. And here's the kicker. This does not overheat like the M9. So the M9 Plus tastes cooler. Same 3 gigs of RAM inside, 32 gigs of built-in storage. You know, battery is pretty large. It's 2,840 milliamp hours. So very much an M9 with some improvements. Let me quickly walk you through and give you a tour. You still have the 4 megapixel ultra pixel front-facing camera, proximity sensor right here. You've got one of the boom sound speakers, signature of HTC. You've got the other boom sound speaker on the other side here of the fingerprint reader. And then in the back, as I said, the dual camera setup with the 20 megapixel main camera, dual color, dual LED flash, the HTC logo, and you know, these antenna bands. This is kind of like a dark gray version. There's also a silver and gold version, just like the M9. So on the edge here, you've got the power lock key, which is a little textured, but not quite as obviously textured as I like it to be. Volume rocker up and down. And then you've got the SD card slot here on the side, a tray for it, so you can expand with micro SD. On top here, you have a little window for an infrared transmitter, so you can use this as a remote control for your TV. And then you've got the nano SIM tray on the side, and really nothing else until you hit the bottom, where you find the headphone jack and the micro USB charge data port. This does support quick charge, which is great, and it does not have wireless charging like the M9. This is the default launcher for HTC. It has the link feed news thing on the side here. And then it has, you know, a slightly different tray, of course. We're familiar with this. It's HTC Sense. This is running Lollipop Android 5.1 or something like that. So it's not the latest version, obviously. You have to understand this phone came out earlier in the summer, and I finally got my hands on one, so you get to see it. It's not the newest phone. Let's go through the pros and cons of this device. The pros, it is what the M9 should have been. It has a fingerprint reader, a bigger, higher res screen, and you know, maybe you could argue it has an improved camera, although I'm not so sure. But the bigger, higher res screen, the fingerprint reader is an improvement. The MediaTek processor is an improvement. The drawbacks, as I said, the camera not so great. It is a big, heavy, and pretty expensive phone. Pricing is still in the, you know, kind of high $500-600 range, because it is a flagship device and it's expensive to make. And it's a big phone. For a 5.2-inch display, it has a lot of bezel. You can notice that entire bezel down here with the HTC logo, pretty bad. So would you buy this? Would you or not? Or would you try this? You know, if you asked me a few weeks ago, I would have said, yeah, maybe buy this if you are into HTC phones and you can get one on import at a decent price. But with the A9 now really kind of killing and in a way replacing the M9 as a kind of iconic device. I hate to say flagship because spec-wise it really isn't, but design-wise it certainly is. It's hard to recommend the M9 or M9 Plus. So I would say if you are, you know, into HTC and you want something unusual that nobody has here in the US or Canada, or even, I think this is sold in Europe now, so in Europe you'll get it, but then potentially try this phone. I'm giving this a try, and I want to give you the caveat that if you do import this in North America, you won't get LTE bands supported for the US and Canada only HSPA plus 3G. Very fast 3G, but nonetheless, it's not going to give you some true 4G performance. So there you have it, the HTC One M9 Plus here on Before You Buy. I'm Myriam Joire, and stay tuned for more reviews. Cheers.
The HTC One M9 Plus gets a try from Myriam Joire. If you can get your hands on it, it is a nice flagship phone. But of course, as she has mentioned several times, there are so many good phones out there. You need something a little extra to be a buy. Of course, you can find Myriam here on the TWiT TV network on Before You Buy. She's always here giving us advice about phones and inside scoops on upcoming developments and on All About Android on Tuesday nights. She drops in there with regularity. If you can't find her here on the TWiT TV network, maybe you want to drop by her Twitter account. That's Tankgirl. Just remove the vowels, TNKGRL. That's the @ as in at Twitter. Coming up next, we've got this beautiful little monitor for people who want multiple monitor possibilities even when they're on the road. But before we do that, let's go ahead and take the second sponsor of this episode of Before You Buy, and it's the Ring Video Doorbell. People who have watched the TWiT TV network, they know that I love the Ring Video Doorbell. This is one of those products that I actually bought. This is not just an advertiser. This is not just another product that we bring through the shows. This is something that I bought for a very personal reason, because I wanted to keep my parents safe. Let me show you how that does it. Now, if you open up the kit, you're going to find everything you need to install it, from the drill bits to the level to make sure you install it properly. This is the Ring Video Doorbell, and like you may expect from something that has doorbell in its name, you push the button and you get a sound telling you that there's somebody at the door. But it goes beyond just a simple announcement device. You see, this is actually a fantastic little media server. Now, it connects to your house via this. This is a little plate that will just take the two wires that go to your current doorbell and will provide constant power to the Ring Video Doorbell, so you'll never have to charge it. But if this is a new installation or an installation in a place that doesn't have wiring, that's why you've got this. It's a little micro USB port that allows you to plug this into your charger, your phone adapter, your laptop, wherever you have USB power. And once this is charged, it's good for a month. Now, what will it do with that power? This is where it gets exciting. You see, the Ring Video Doorbell becomes caller ID for your home. It's got a high-definition camera. It's also got a microphone and a speaker, so you can have a two-way conversation with anyone who comes to ring the bell. Not only that, but it will also show you if people move on that area, say your foyer or the front of the house, so you can know if someone's trying to case the joint. This was important to me because my parents live in a retirement home near Las Vegas, and a retirement community. I'm sorry, it's not a retirement home. And I'm worried about people casing their home. This is actually the interface for the Ring Video Doorbell that I installed. I bought and I installed at their home. And as you can see, I can find who comes to the house. The cool thing about this is because I also paid the $30 to get a Ring's video doorbell service for the cloud, all of these videos are saved up in the cloud and I can download them to my device. That means I know who has dropped by the house. It means that I know if someone's casing the joint. It means that I know if someone's coming by every once in a while just to look in the windows and ring the bell and see if somebody is home. They've already had several break-ins in their neighborhood, and well, I didn't want that to happen to my parents. Folks, the Ring Video Doorbell isn't just a toy for your home, it's peace of mind. Why not try the device that Time Magazine called one of the best gadgets of 2014? Put your mind at ease and protect your home with the Ring Video Doorbell. Now, here's what we want you to do. We want you to prevent burglaries before they happen. Go to ring.com/beforeyoubuy for free FedEx shipping. That's ring.com/beforeyoubuy. With Ring, you're always home. And we thank the Ring Video Doorbell for their support of Before You Buy. Well, it's time for a little bit of gadget lust for me. I don't know about you, but I've gotten very accustomed to having a second monitor at my home. In fact, I have 4 monitors. I do a lot of video editing. I also do a lot of gaming. And it's nice to have multiple monitors so that I don't always have to be opening and closing windows. It's just one of those things. Well, anytime I go on the road, even though I really like my laptop, having just the one screen where I'm trying to split screen windows, it's not always comfortable. It's not the best thing, but it's been very impractical to bring another device. Now, I have had portable monitors in the past, but they were either very low resolution and I didn't like them, or they just flat out broke. So about 3 months back, I bought this. This is a product that I actually bought with my own money. This is not a review unit. This is an Asus MB168B+. It's a 15.6-inch USB monitor. And when I say USB monitor, I mean USB monitor. You'll notice there is just one cable that connects to this. That cable is providing both connectivity to my laptop and power to the screen. Now, it's a 1920 by 1080, which is one of the reasons why I like this so much, because a lot of USB monitors will only do 1366 by 768. This is full HD. It's not an IPS screen, it's a TN screen, so you don't get super great angles, which that's a little bit of a con for me, but it does look really, really good. 11 millisecond response time, which means videos look decent. In fact, here's something that we shot over at TechCrunch Disrupt in San Francisco. You'll notice that the saturation looks pretty good. The color pops. It's got a 600:1 contrast ratio, and this whole monitor is only 14 by 9 by 9.3 by 0.3 inches thick. It's only 1.7 pounds, so it's about as heavy as my Acer S7. It's a nice compliment because it means that I can now carry something that's just about doubles the weight of my laptop package, and I get even more than double the screen size. Now, there are a few things that I really like about this. It supports auto rotation detection, so I can flip this over, and it will, if I have installed the proper driver, it will know to flip the screen on me. It also auto installs drivers on Windows 7 and better, so you don't have to install a special driver, just connect it, and it will plug and play. It will work with USB 2.0, but that's going to lead to a degraded image quality. See, this is a USB 3.0 device, and it needs that because sending out 1920 by 1080, you need the 5 gigabit bus that USB 3 will provide. 480 megabits per second will work, but you're going to notice screen tearing. You're going to notice a degraded image. You're going to notice your resolution's not quite as high. This will also work on OS X. Although some people have had results vary by machine. I've also seen it work on Linux boxes, but I would not count on that. Unless you know how to play with your drivers, just think of this as really a Windows and a Mac machine. Now, let's talk about the pros. The pros, of course, is that it's a convenient second screen. I like the fact that I have on-screen controls here so I can control the brightness and the contrast. I like the fact that it is so light and thin. I like the fact that this gives me the ability to travel with a second screen with really not a whole lot of weight. I mean, in that respect, this is the ideal device for a business traveler. I mean, if you've ever gone someplace and wished that you had the real estate of a second screen that you normally have when you're home, this is it. I mean, I should also mention that this stand is actually the carrying case. So if I want to, I can just pack it up like this. And not only does this carrying case act as the stand for my monitor, but it allows me to fold it up and have a nice, neat package that I can bring with me. Just pack it right next to my notebook, and I'm good to go. There are two positions for this stand, but I have to say, even though it's nicely designed, I will give them that. It's not as flexible as I would like it. I have seen USB monitors that have stands integrated into the back of the monitor. I would much prefer that because this stand here doesn't give me a lot of adjustment room. If you go to the side view, this is basically it. I've got this position, and then I've got that position. There's not a lot of variance between the angles that I can choose. That is just a little troubling every once in a while. Sometimes I have to prop up the back of the monitor in order to get the angle I want. But again, though it's a con, I will take it because it allows me to have a package that is so clean and it is so light. I should mention that the price on this varies. Right now, if you go to Amazon, you're probably going to find it for about $280, but I actually bought this one for about $220. So shop around and get a good deal. Now let's talk about the verdict. Buy, try, or don't buy. Well, I have used a lot of portable monitors, a lot of USB monitors, a lot of TP-Link monitors. That's what this is. And this is, without a doubt, the best one I have ever used. It is a little pricey, but I'd say that if you are a mobile professional, if you're a person that likes that second screen on the go, if you're a person who wants the ability to expand your screen real estate in a minimal footprint, then the Asus MB168B+ 15.6-inch USB monitor is a definite buy. That's all the time we have for this episode of Before You Buy. I want to thank all of our reviewers, of course, to Leo Laporte, to Megan Morrone, to Myriam Joire, and who else did we have, Brian? Who was that other person? I forget.
There was Gregory Burnett.
Yeah, Gregory Burnett. We got to thank him because he's a pretty good guy. I do want to say, Brian, I've seen you on the Twit TV network, but I'm not sure quite what you do.
Right. I know it's probably hard for you to remember, but we do a show together yesterday, which would have been Thursday.
Oh, that's who
every
I was
day
doing
at
that
11
with.
o'clock. Yeah.
Okay, I got it. I for some reason I thought that was someone else.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to tell. The beard, right? It masks everything.
Right.
But yeah, I do Know How with you. I TD a few other shows. And tomorrow is new Screensavers. I TD that show, so check that out. And you can follow me at cranky_hippo.
Absolutely. Don't forget that we do this show every Friday around 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. You could go to live.twit.tv and watch the live stream, see when I mess up. And as long as you're watching live, why not jump into our chat room at irc.twit.tv and be part of the conversation. Finally, thanks to everyone, including Brian Burnett, like Lisa and Leo Laporte, who let us do Before You Buy, to Karsten, my super producer, and to all the staff members, the engineers, people like, was it Hal Gimple? Yeah, Hal Gimple, who make everything worthwhile. He's walking over here right
now. The Microsoft enthusiast, Hal Gimple himself.
Excuse me, Padre, that's Gumple.
Okay, I'm sorry, Grumple. Yes, Alex Grumple. Yes. Yeah, all right, we got it. Until next time, I'm Father Robert Ballecer, just reminding you that you gotta watch before you buy.